Hi, in the second half of version 2.0 we are getting Sparkle. Sparkle is our newest 5-star Quantum Harmony support. She is mainly focused on skill points, but her skill has an action advance. Her action advance is not quite the same as Bronya's turn advance. So this video will explain everything you need to know on how Sparkle's skill works and help you to perfectly speed tune your Sparkle teams. Before we start, I'll be giving away a supply pass /Rocket Moon /Crystal card to my subscribers at 30k subs, so make sure you subscribe to enter. To begin, if you don't know what Sparkle does, I have made a guide, link in the description and in the top right of this video, but this video is going to only focus on her skill. Sparkle's skill, Dream Diver, increases the crit damage of a single ally, scaling off her own crit damage. But more importantly, the focus of this video, it also advances forward the ally's action by 50%. Now, what does it mean to advance forward the ally's action by 50%? Before I explain that, we have to first understand what action value is, AV for short. Quick disclaimer, optimizing speed and tuning it for breakpoints is mostly relevant for MLC only. For contents like Pure Fiction or SU expansions, just run them as fast as possible. Going back on track, I won't bore you with the details as explaining AV can be its own 30-minute video, and I'm sure some of you guys already have watched or read on how AV works, so for the sake of keeping it in context of just Sparkle's speed tuning, all you have to know is that AV is just a number given to your character that determines the value of their action, and is calculated by 10,000 divided by their speed. In MLC, the first cycle has a total of 150 AV, and the rest has 100 AV. Knowing that, for example, to get the speed that is required to get 2 turns in the first cycle is simply 10,000 divided by the result of 150 divided by 2. 10,000 being the base number from the action value, 150 being the AV of the first cycle, and 2 being the desired turns in that cycle. The answer of the equation will get us 133.333 recurring, and round it up, not round it down, because 133 will not be 2 turns as it is below 133.333 recurring, we will get 134, which is, as you guessed, the 134 speed breakpoint that everyone knows and loves. Now we understand what action value is and what speed does to it, we need to now understand Sparkle's skill. Dream Diver is a 50% action advance. Unlike Bronya, whose skill just straight up grants a turn, Sparkle's doesn't quite do that. It simply reduces the action value of the target ally by half of its original amount. So for example, let's say my Lune has 135 speed and my Sparkle has 134 speed. Lune will go first since he has an action value of 74 compared to Sparkle's 74.6. Lune's turn will appear and his AV will turn to 0. Then I will use Lune's skill and attack the enemy, which then will boot him down to the AV of 74 again, and then next will be Sparkle. Her AV now will be 0, and using her skill on Lune will decrease his AV to 37, which is 74, the base AV of Lune divided by 2. By decreasing it to 37, it will bring him up the action order. However, it does not bring him to the immediate next turn, as 37 is still higher number than the enemy's 2. This is the most obvious way we can see the difference between Bronya and Sparkle, as if it was Bronya here instead of Sparkle with the same 134 speed, instead of cutting Lune's AV to 37, Bronya will actually just straight up cut Lune's AV to 0. In a way, Bronya's skill is also an action advance, just by 100%. One thing to note is that if you were to use Sparkle's skill here again when Lune's current AV is 37, the AV will turn to 0, as it doesn't halve the current AV, rather it reduces by the half of its base AV. So now we know what action value is and what exactly does Sparkle's skill do. Let's actually start tuning in Sparkle and her team speed. To get into that, we have to first mention the 2 primary playstyles of Sparkle, and that is Fast Sparkle and 1 speed behind Sparkle. Fast Sparkle is obviously Fast Sparkle. Your goal is simply to run your Sparkle as fast as possible, ideally reaching over 201 speed, but that is very unrealistic, so let's stick to as fast as possible. The second playstyle is 1 speed behind Sparkle. And again, as the name suggests, your Sparkle is going to be running 1 or even 2 speed behind your main DPS. All of this is pretty similar to Bronya, but has one big problem. As mentioned, Bronya's skill is a turn advance, Sparkle's is an action advance. This causes a few problems for the second playstyle. For the second playstyle, the 1 speed behind Sparkle, if for example, let's say you're running Lune, Sparkle, and Rome. Lune has a turn, then Sparkle has a turn. Sparkle skills and advances your Lune forward, but Rome is just fast enough to be stuck in between your Sparkle's turn and your next Lune turn. But Rome's skill and ult buffs are on their last turn, so Rome skills with no ult and your Lune's turn appears with no Rome ult buff. If you use Bronya here instead, no matter what, after Bronya's skill is Lune's turn. You might say, well, this is a very specific example, and I answer with, Unless you perfectly split tune your team, this is gonna happen, and it's gonna happen relatively frequently as it's just how the team works. And not to mention, the worst case scenario is that the one stuck in between your Sparkle and your next Lunatum could actually be an enemy. So all in all, as much as people say Bronya is gonna be gone and power crept after Sparkle is released, that is just not the case, as Bronya's turn events is still significantly more broken than Sparkle's action events. And not to mention her cleanse and her much better synergy with low skill point DPSs like Blade and Jinlu. Ultimately, that's why the recommended playstyle of Sparkle is Fast Sparkle, trying to build her as fast as possible and to build your DPS with lower speed. Then in battle, just drag your DPS to have a turn every time your Sparkle has a turn. Because as we all know, her skill reduces the AV of the targeted ally by 50% of its original amount. So even if they're slow, as long as they're not slow like 85 speed slow, some AV would have passed, and reducing it by half ends up letting them have the turn immediately after. Or in some cases, for example, Zilla, who is just fast no matter what build you use, Fast Sparkle would just grant her the one extra turn in the cycle, but together with a Resurgence, it could mean a lot more. Before I end the video, here are some speed tuned Sparkle team comps with a sample speed on each character, to help you more visualize what I just talked about. Remember, these are sample and guidelines, please do not follow them to a T. And although one speed behind Sparkle is not recommended, I'll still list out some examples just in case that's how you want to use your Sparkle.
You've been lost and alone in the city of lights, I know. Getting high, feeling low, and it's out of your control. You should know that I won't leave you. I'll stay beside you. I'm never letting you go. You've been lost and alone in the city of lights, I know. But I will guide you home. But I will guide you home. But I will guide you home. Fight your battles, always by yourself. In the shadows, hear you cry for help. No matter the distance, I will always be there. No more inhibitions, I'll show you I care. You've been